Miami, a tropical paradise where brilliant sunlight kisses the vibrant pastel facades of Art Deco architecture. The vibrant rhythm of life never stops here, where laughter and music blend with crashing waves. But today, the symphony of daily life is suddenly severed by a terrifying and unnatural silence. A deep, dull tremor echoes from the ocean floor, shaking the ground beneath the unsuspecting city. The ocean water suddenly retreats at supersonic speed, revealing the deadly and barren seafloor below. Stranded sharks struggle desperately on the wet sand, surrounded by exposed debris and dying marine life. From the horizon, a pitch-black wall of water rises vertically, completely blocking out the sunlight above. This 30-meter monster is rushing forward with the devastating power of thousands of atomic bombs exploding. There is nowhere to run or hide when the ocean decides to reclaim its ancient territory. At the moment of impact, thousands of palm trees are snapped like fragile toothpicks by force. The iconic Colony Hotel is crushed by water pressure, shattering glass that shoots out like bullets. The ferocious current sweeps away thousands of cars stuck in traffic on the high overpass bridges. The entire city sinks into chaos as warning sirens fall silent beneath the swirling water currents. Nature never negotiates with humanity, and today it has delivered its final and devastating verdict here. Miami, the precious jewel of the Atlantic, has only 5 minutes left before being completely erased. This is not a fictional cinematic movie. This is a scenario of reality waiting to happen. Based on real geological data, we are about to witness the worst disaster in human history. When the ocean rises in anger, all modern human technology becomes completely meaningless and utterly useless. Fasten your seatbelts now, because this journey into the storm has absolutely no point of return. Welcome to the end of Miami, when a giant tsunami swallows the American dream forever. At 8 in the morning, golden sunrise dyes South Beach, promising a perfect day for everyone. Pastel Art Deco buildings stand tall and proud, silent historical witnesses of this vibrant coastal city. Tourists stroll leisurely, their laughter and chatter blending softly with the gentle lapping of ocean waves. Suddenly, hovering seagulls panic, screaming loudly as they fly frantically inland away from the open sea. Dogs walking on the beach start barking loudly, pulling leashes to drag owners away from water. On the streets, manhole covers vibrate as black water surges up despite the clear, rainless sky. A strange vibration, not an earthquake, feels like a deep sigh from the profound ocean depths. Then the strangest thing happens, as ocean water begins receding away at a dizzying, unnatural speed. In minutes, the seabed is exposed, revealing dead coral reefs and old shipwrecks lying entirely bare. Giant cruise ships offshore suddenly tilt dangerously, stranded helplessly in the thick mud of the seabed. Instead of fleeing, curious crowds walk onto the exposed land to film the event with phones. A child bends down to pick a shiny shell on wet sand, unaware death is approaching. Thousands of phones are raised, live streaming this fascinating moment to share on social media platforms instantly. They do not know this is ocean drawback, a certain sign of an approaching mega-tsunami. On the far horizon, a white foam line begins forming, looking like a low cloud bank. The noise of the crowd is gradually drowned out by a low rumbling sound like thunder. A lifeguard on the tower squints, his face turning pale with horror as he realizes the truth. That white foam line grows rapidly, turning into a pitch-black wall of water swallowing the sky. Tsunami warning sirens wail piercingly, tearing through the falsely peaceful atmosphere of the sunny morning beach. Curiosity turns into sheer terror as the crowd turns and runs desperately back towards the shore. People push and trample each other on soft sand, screams echoing everywhere in the chaotic scene. On Ocean Drive, supercars honk loudly, stuck in gridlock with absolutely no way to escape quickly. The water wall is now higher than skyscrapers, completely blocking out the sunlight and casting shadows. It moves with the velocity of a jet plane, closing the distance with every passing second. Those too far from the shore realize they cannot possibly outrun the water in time now. A couple stops running, hugging each other tightly, eyes fixed on the deadly wave crashing down. The giant shadow of the wave covers the entire colorful Art Deco district in darkness instantly. Air pressure changes suddenly, shattering glass windows completely before the water even touches the building structures. The ocean roar now sounds like the engines of thousands of airplanes taking off at once. And then, the fated moment arrives, as the first edge of water touches the beautiful Miami sand. The massive wall of water crashes down, instantly crushing South Beach under its immense weight and power. Colorful lifeguard stations are torn apart violently, shattering into tiny wooden splinters amidst the churning foam. Iconic palm trees snap simultaneously, swept away by the rushing water like mere garden weeds in a storm. Water slams into the first concrete barriers, sending white foam shooting up dozens of meters high into the air. The famous Ocean Drive now takes a direct hit from the furious and unstoppable force of nature. The Colony Hotel, with its familiar neon lights, is the very first victim of this total destruction. Tempered glass windows bow inward before exploding, shooting millions of sharp shards out like deadly shrapnel. Salt water invades the hotel lobby, sweeping away furniture, the reception desk, and decorations in a chaotic swirl. The old brick walls of 1930s architecture cannot withstand the immense hydrostatic pressure of the ocean water. The turquoise Beacon Hotel shakes violently, its awning collapsing to crush the sidewalk underneath instantly. Water spills through narrow alleys, turning city streets into deadly rushing rivers of debris and destruction. Parked cars on the roadside are lifted up by the water like lightweight plastic toys. A red supercar is swept away, slamming violently into a streetlight pole and crumpling instantly. Dark, murky water carrying trash, construction debris, and thick mud attacks the heart of the city. Advertising signs explode, electric sparks shooting out profusely as they touch the conductive seawater. The entire South Beach power grid fails, plunging the area into darkness in the middle of the day. On Collins Avenue, water rises to the second floor, submerging all luxury fashion boutiques completely. The force of the current is so strong it peels the asphalt layer right off the streets. Century-old trees are uprooted, floating freely and becoming dangerous battering rams of destruction. The camera shifts to MacArthur Causeway, the vital bridge connecting the island to the mainland. A second wave, higher than the first, crashes directly into the fragile structure of the bridge. Large trucks tip over sideways, sliding uncontrollably along the wet and slippery road surface. Concrete bridge pillars start showing cracks, unable to withstand the immense lateral force of the water. A section of the bridge snaps, collapsing into the swirling water, taking dozens of vehicles with it. Drivers scream in despair as they freefall into the vast and churning sea of water. The water continues advancing deep into Biscayne Bay, heading straight for the financial center of Brickell. The glittering glass skyscrapers now stand directly in the path of imminent and total destruction. Water floods into Bayfront Park, submerging monuments and recreational areas under tons of water. Ground floors of office towers are breached by water pressure, glass falling like heavy rain. Water rushes into elevator shafts, creating a piston effect that blows out doors on upper floors. Million-dollar yachts are lifted by waves and thrown directly into luxury high-rise apartment buildings. Ship propellers crush balconies, sending concrete falling down like a landslide from a mountain. The American Airlines Arena is surrounded by water, turning into a lonely island in the flood. Water floods parking garages, drowning thousands of cars as alarm sirens echo in the enclosed space. A nearby electrical substation explodes, creating a massive fireball rising from the middle of the water. Fire and water clash, billowing black smoke rising to mix with the gray storm clouds above. The Metromover elevated track snaps, leaving the train hanging precariously over the watery abyss below. Passengers inside the train bang on glass for help, their faces distorted by sheer terror. Underwater, sewer systems burst, creating massive whirlpools that suck everything down into the darkness below. Sharks and marine life now swim freely between submerged office buildings in the flooded city center. An alligator swept from the Everglades climbs onto the roof of a drifting city bus. The water level continues rising relentlessly, swallowing the first, second, and then the third floors completely. Survivors climb onto rooftops, looking down at their beloved city that has now completely vanished. No roads, no boundaries. Only the murky brown color of total destruction remains visible everywhere. The glorious scenery of Miami Beach is now just a memory buried under deep ocean water. Welcome to Miami signs float aimlessly, partially obscured by garbage and debris in the water. The gray sky reflects on the water surface, creating a gloomy and apocalyptic painting of ruin. The sheer power of nature has proven just how incredibly small and insignificant humanity really is. Nothing can stop the fury of the ocean once it is fully awakened from its slumber. Miami is no longer a city. It has now become a permanent part of the ocean floor. When salt water floods the substations, a chain reaction of electrical explosions destroys the entire grid. Hospitals plunge into darkness as backup generators in basements are swallowed by the rising black water. Cell towers collapse or lose power, cutting off all communication with the outside world instantly. Panic spreads like a virus, as thousands find themselves trapped on rooftops with nowhere to go. Desperate survivors fight for space on high ground, looking down at the deadly swirling currents below. The evacuation routes are now underwater graveyards, filled with thousands of submerged and abandoned vehicles. Rescue helicopters hover above but cannot land because of the fierce winds and unstable structures. People wave colorful shirts and flashlights frantically, begging for a salvation that cannot reach them. With no help coming, many attempt to build makeshift rafts from doors, sofas, and debris. These fragile vessels are instantly torn apart by violent currents filled with sharp and dangerous wreckage. A mixture of gasoline and toxic chemicals leaks into the water, creating a deadly poisonous soup. Friction sparks ignite the floating fuel, causing surreal fires to burn fiercely on the water's surface. Thick black smoke rises from the water, choking the survivors who are trapped on the roofs. The nightmare intensifies as dangerous predators from the swamps are washed into the flooded city streets. Alligators and sharks are spotted swimming between abandoned cars, hunting in the murky urban waters. As night falls, the temperature drops rapidly, leaving wet survivors shivering in the cold darkness. The only light comes from the distant fires and the lightning strikes tearing through the sky. The sound of crumbling buildings echoes through the night as waterlogged foundations finally give way. A 10-story apartment complex groans loudly before collapsing into the water in a cloud of dust. The splash from the collapse sends a secondary wave crashing into nearby structures and terrified people. Clean drinking water is gone, replaced by salty sludge that threatens to kill via dehydration. Despair fills the eyes of survivors as they realize they are completely cut off from help. Friends and families are separated in the chaos, their cries for names lost in the wind. The iconic skyline of Miami is now a broken silhouette against a burning and stormy sky. Every bridge connecting to the mainland is destroyed, turning Miami Beach into an isolated island prison. Personal belongings, photos, and memories float aimlessly in the water, remnants of lives forever lost. A child's teddy bear floats past a submerged stop sign, a tragic symbol of lost innocence. The roar of the water slowly fades, replaced by a terrifying and heavy silence of death. Civilization here has been reset to zero, stripping away all modern comforts in just a few hours. Humanity stands helpless, realizing that no amount of money or technology can save them now. 24 hours later, dawn casts a cold light upon the silent and deadly city ruins. The water begins to recede slowly, leaving behind a thick, toxic mud covering all vibrant memories. The flashy Art Deco icons are now merely hollow and soulless concrete frames standing in ruin. No more vibrant Latin music. Only the wind whistling through shattered windows remains in the air. A luxury yacht lies stranded in the middle of an intersection, a testament to absurd inversion. We built castles on sand, arrogantly believing we could tame the wild and powerful ocean forever. Survivors begin emerging from the rubble, starting the long and arduous journey of rebuilding their lives. Beside a rusted sign, a tiny green sprout rises, signaling that life will indeed continue here. But this scar will forever remind humanity of the unimaginable and unstoppable power of Mother Nature. Miami may be rebuilt one day, but it will never be the Miami of yesterday again.